go with it, but like,
oh my god, look at the dinosaur, look at the dinosaur.
Could be absolutely obliterated as well, so Zanji might switch off if he does notice that Phoenix is causing a lot of problems. So a lot of responsibility on Cal for me, because that Phoenix could do so much damage, as we see a quick switch up from Nectar as well, moving over to Elsa. So there we go. Lots of changes, no Iron Man for SSG in the end, and we will see moves across.
See, this is what I like to see too, right? Just keep Cal over on the duelist role. Like, this is the Cal that I remember when they weren't trying to force out having Cal being on a strat role instead. And already coming out of the gates, we talked about that Iron Man before, together with the team up of the Ultron, still rocking that triple strategist composition from TSM. But they didn't ban out that Black Cat that they did against Liquid Citadel, because Shanti now is going to be able to roll out over with the filed nails themselves before trying to control more of this space. But the point does go in favor first for TSM.
Look at that, chat. TSM taking the
start it, but now SSG starting to bully them back out a little bit here as well. And you really have to watch that back line. Is not only have you got the pressure coming from Nectar on the Elsa, but also Zanji on the Black is just destroying at the moment, doing so much damage. That Black Cat is very difficult to play against. And sadly for TSM, they have already fallen here, and they're going to back off. And you are going to see Penny is definitely going to be the focus, but now you don't have the point. Going to be difficult to try and retake it here.
You know what's funny, Gaskin? Do you remember when everyone was saying that Elsa was gone from existence, and now we're seeing gone forever, and then we're seeing so many more Elsas. But of course, that's what happens when you get the Phoenix banned out against you. But Nectar, as we've highlighted before, is so able to adjust here with the Elsa.
I love
controlling
Cal,
a lot more of the
but I don't
space.
know if Cal can do the same stuff as Rymazing can on the
already
Iron
has
Man.
that Sia, and Cal could easily obliterate it though, but they're gonna get the chomp before trying to find that prehistoric lizard. The Sia's gonna be the first thing activated, and Nectar finding through is a big pick. Look at Shanji though, finding the triple strategist, and now the Iron Man up on the high ground before repositioning, trying to pull even more of those cooldowns.
Zanji just surviving so easily as well, despite the fact you went up against two strats plus Iron Man. Yeah, you didn't get the pick, but it was just the difficulty on the side of TSM. They had to back off, they had to try and eliminate the dive, and it allowed SSG to just continue to press, continue to push up. Nectar starting to bully, and now the Glartrox is just going to make things go from bad to worse here.
Feasting like it's a free-to-eat buffet now, but it's going to be able to keep everybody up alive. It's going to be unknown with the extermination before, but look at this patient play from Nectar.
You guys gotta trust the process,
trying to
bro.
find the snipe and successfully gets that pick. Cal goes down next, and that was a great 3-2-1 moment in trying to take a sneaky flanking angle from Nectar. And now you also have SSG, who didn't utilize any of these ultimates really, because Monk still has a dance-off. Nectar is still farming, trying to create their own highlight reel, and they do hear their portal on the other side, trying to stop it with a freeze, and only finds Unknown here, so Guru does manage to pull it off.
Yeah, there's the portal. They staggered them quite well, but TSM are going to be flooding out of this portal at different times. But Bedtime Story does have ult available, so the Mantis is at least going to help on point. But you can already see SSG on there and waiting, and because of the BRB, they lost one, but they're right back into this fight.
And now you have the calling card here. Let's see which palace are going to take them to. Shanji now.
Guys, the game's not even over,
put some
bro.
pressure onto this before they're able to reclaim
Look,
the point.
TSM capped
only
again.
25% after they were able to try to kite through it. The invisible boundary next as Cal unleashes the maximum pulse and finds its mark onto the threat that is Nectar.
See?
Okay, so they've been able to get the break, but that is using everything. They're going to still have the Psionic Seduction for the next one. Actually, they're going to use it right now. They feel like they have to, which means SSG can just allow this one to go through. You will see the counter come out from the Devil Dino, but SSG are going to be in a position where they're going to have the ultimate advantage going into the next fight.
The fact that Month is still holding on to the fate of both worlds here, the patience is insane, but TSM having the number advantage, not for very long, because of BRB once again allows Space Station to regroup together.
Okay, TSM are holding though, but there is still going to be the dance floor available for SSG. Milk Boy gets the opener onto it as well, and with Nectar following up, this might be the beginning of the end for TSM.
Now with the dance-off here, the Eye of Agamotto is no more, and so is Doctor Strange. Steven is back in the spawn room gates, and a Space Station.
Wait, chat, don't see.
They're forming one by one as the heads fall off of TSM. No portal available, and that first round goes in favor for Space Station Gaming.
I'm proud of TSM though. They actually gave that a really good effort. You could have quite easily just funneled in and gave that to SSG without really any answer back, but TSM, they calculated it. They said, look, we are going to have a chance through this strange portal. We do have ultimates available. If we use them in tandem, we can at least break. They knew it was going to be a difficult hold. They knew they would be at a disadvantage when it came to that ultimate economy because they lost the neutral to begin with, but they were able to bounce back. I still think going into this second round now, they're going to have a little bit more confidence if they had just got slapped in that initial. But SSG, I just think they're going to look at TSM and say, look, you're not doing enough in that neutral for us, so we're always going to be ahead in that race, and they're kind of already ahead going into round 2 with the economy as well.
I also just really like the sustain that we're seeing from Space Station. It's almost like Month being on that Luna, the Snowflake, over onto Necrise being on the Devil Dino. It's like, look what you have to do to recreate a fraction of my power as CSM have to roll out with that triple strategist lineup here. But Unknown does have the Extermination, which can come in clutch.
I think they need to put BTS back on the DPS.
Those 8 finals there too. It's almost like the sleep paralysis.
I was told something else was going to happen, and it's not happening.
You have Shanty too still on that Black Cat and still distracting that back.
I think I was lied to.
It was surprising how much we saw Nectar play Elsa in preseason despite all the bans. Somehow, some way, they still were able to sneak through and dominate. So it's just going back to what is comfortable here. It's very much working for SSG. So TSM need to find a way to shut Nectar down. But with Glatrox available here, you're going to have to really make sure you do not group up, as Rage of Ultron's going to be the first ult to be popped.
I love the way that Space Station just literally played so split before Nectar pops his head out. And it's whack-a-mole on the Ultron. We do get a little bit of a trade, but the number advantage is in favor for Space Station, as well as the damage output. Nectar is here to farm, and Month to follow up with a quick little 2K before Space Station reclaim the point.
Nectar holds on to the Glatrox as well. Like, Apex Predator is there and waiting whenever they need it. Milk Boy also has ult available. TSM are going to be in shambles here, even though they do have Mantis ult available to them. Trying to play around that, you're just worried that you might get picked off on the back line initially, and then if that does happen, you get the panic ult from the Mantis, and then you have wasted it completely. Here comes Milk Boy looking for that pick as well. The bubble to try and deny a little bit of damage, and popping the ult at the same time, and it has worked perfectly. What an incredible pinch here from SSG.
I wish I could hear the comms of TSM real quick, because that flank from Milk Boy, he's taking them to the shop, except they're not the ones leaving with the milk here. And TSM, it's back to the drawing board. And again,
taking them to the shop, and they're not the ones that are leaving with the milk.
Team, because that flanking angle and even the isolation with the Vanpool bubble goes hard. And look at Nectar, who's waiting to get in position if they can maybe get a Glatrox hit. But TSM are opting to rotate on the other side.
Yeah, opting, but they're again just being surrounded. SSG just trying to bully them close to spawn here, making it very difficult. Finally, we see the strat ults being popped from TSM just to try and keep them alive. But there's the Glatrox to bring them right back into their hands, and it's going to be as easy as that to find the first. They get one of the strats. Shorter Grew always going to come back on the flip side, but SSG still scoring.
Maximum nothing. Pulsing the rest of the team because Danji is farming too. They try to get the Wombo combo. The bread and the unfortunate Iron Man ult, but then you're forced back into your spawn room gates. You see the resets of the calling card, and you have no other choice but to let Space Station have even more aggression on this point.
Can they deny the portal as well? That's going to be a responsibility if you're Zanji, but no, they're going to force them back, so the portal is going to come through for TSM. It's going to be one last chance.
Desperate attempt here for TSM as Space Station are nearing 99%. Month still holding on to the Fate of both worlds, though, now as Brady could match that with the invisible boundary. Unknown did make that swap over to the White Fox here before Sanji's going to be able to dive in. The iframes, though, do not come at the very end after the end of the dash here. The revive is going to come in with the BRB. All that hard work for what? When you still have to deal with Renko, but the rampage comes in from Guru. Unfortunate for Bedtime Story, who had fallen slightly earlier in that fight, and there is no sustain left for TSM. It's just too much damage output as Space Station are looking to clear this point and take this first map.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. SSG managed to take all 5 of them down and then found the 6th so easily and comfortably. It was a dominant performance from Space Station Gaming. And sadly for TSM, they just couldn't find that way through, despite the portals being really their best fight, because they were able to catch SSG a little bit out of position. Wasn't enough to get them even around on the board. I just want to highlight the Deadpool play, the Vanpool, by the way. So many players in ranked play Vanpool incorrectly because you just go toe-to-toe with those tanks. Instead, you need to make sure you look for the back line.
My little birdie has lied to me, which is crazy.
We are going to go for a quick break. I will ramble a little bit more later. When we come back, we'll have map 2.
Bro. Dude, I cannot... I don't want to be mean. TSM is a bunch of friends, chat, and I love them. But I cannot believe that if I was TSM and I bought a game, a team, and this is what they're doing, bro, I would be very disappointed. Like, have you ever seen your dad disappointed, chat? Or your parents disappointed in general? That's how disappointed I am at this. What is going on right here, man? Like, I know what my dad looks like disappointed because he says that to me all the time. What the fuck? Never listening to you again, you rat-faced motherfucker. I just lost my mortgage money. The fuck did I do, bro? Apparently you didn't lose all your money because you used 1,000 channel points to redeem that message. Like, what the hell? Bro, it's not my fault. I was told that it was going to be different. That's not my fault. That's not my fault. Why the hell did I just got called a rat face? I just shaved. That's fucked up, man. Hey Jay, how are you doing today? Did you not just read? Did you not just hear the message I had to read? I'm hurt. That's fucked up, man. I don't know why they're... No, it's fine. I'm fine. Nope. Nope. Jay needs to copy Emily's homework. No. No. Bro, this I love kettle corn popcorn. Oh, Talis, bro, you should go to bed. We are tired of this. Jay, make some better predictions. Do you think me getting all my predictions? Oh, chat, I'm almost done with my popcorn. Oh my god. I'm done. Okay, now I can have a conversation with you guys because I'm done with my popcorn. Fuck you guys! It's not my fault! I was told shit was going to be different. TSM is like that toxic ex that they're like, oh my god, I'm gonna change, I promise, I'm never gonna do that again, I love you. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know what, I love you too, I'm gonna trust you again. And they fucking do the same shit again! It's not my fault! It's not my fault. Oh shit, I gotta charge my... Not... Ay. Hold up, chat. I have to go on to the desk. Oh. It's not my fault. Who is supposed to be TSM's DPS players? Oh, that's a trick question. All of them. Oh my god, this shit's supposed to... Okay, let's get it. Anyways, that was only the first game, chat. They're gonna win the next 2. Believe in the reverse sweep. Okay, sorry. I believe in the 2-0 sweep. True. I do too. Listen, you guys have been saying a lot of mean things to me, but once TSM wins and proves to you guys that my bet is actually real, you guys will come around and say, sorry, J3, I didn't mean to be mean like that and all that stuff. Listen, money changes people. You guys are definitely like money hungry, and you guys are definitely fake.
That's right, folks.
Yep,
Strap
see, she even said that's right.
The Black Cat arrives in her high-octane Formula R gear, looking good and speedy out there. And of course, the Wolverine X 2099 suit is looking absolutely clean. Haven't seen either of them in game yet, but they do be available right now. So go cop them. Vicky, which one are you rocking and why?
Definitely the Black Cat one, because I hear you get a skin buff when you get to play with this beautiful Black Cat wildcard skin. Honestly, I've seen so many Black Cats rocking this skin. If anything, I feel like it's been an infiltration of Black Cats in my games, and that's every Invis woman main's worst nightmare to deal with. But you know what? When you got a skin like that, it's hard not to rock it, and it's also not hard to talk about Space Station Zoe taking a dominating first map against TSM.
I trust Jay's
Yeah,
pick
I mean,
just
I
like
do want to
Black
give credit
Cat
where credit is
trusts
due, right?
those
TSM,
pants
at
not
least in
ripping.
round 1, they did
Thank
push
you.
back
Gates
to
above
some
with the Macedono.
extent.
I trust
Then in
Jay's
that
pick
second
like Black
round,
Cat
Vicky, we
trusts
talked
those
about it,
pants
right?
not
When we
ripping.
came off the cast, or you guys came
Exactly.
off the cast, I was just a watcher out there. I was just enjoying
Imagine,
my time, listening to you guys waffle. Yeah, running flyers into a hit-scan warlord such as Nectar, that is a choice. Not a great choice either.
I wanted to see Cal's Phoenix a lot earlier. Like, I get it, you're trying to force a
J3
comp that maybe
Shoeless.
you're working out on, because we did see a very similar comp again.
I appreciate the massive gifted sub, my friend.
Liquid
Bro.
Citadel, but it's like you're doing this against an Elsa, and it's not just any Nelsa, it's a Nectar, and it's crazy to see how long they were actually on that comp. But something that Gaskin mentioned too is the playmaking opportunities from Milk Boy being on that Vanpool, not going down a single time, by the way.
Oh my god, Milk Boy went
Insane.
28 and 0.
I was trying to make the point very quickly at the end of last, but a lot of times you're playing a Vanpool in ranked, it feels like people are just trying to play frontline, go toe-to-toe with the other Vanguards. Maybe they'll use their ult on the other Vanguard, and I'm just like, what are you doing? It is the perfect flanking character to isolate strategists, hit them with your ult, and then delete them with your E as well.
Casualties, chat.
Incredible legend to
know,
play, and people were worried like maybe
Marvel,
Vanpool falls
you know,
out of the
they don't
meta
wanna
with
say
Devil
death,
Dino arriving a little bit.
so it's
Milk Boy
a
just
casualty.
showing how dangerous Vanpool could be in the right hands.
Yeah, we've definitely seen Vanpool still quite a bit in the mix here these last 2 weeks, and in the right hands, as you just said, it's looking good in the current compositions. Milk Boy
Which is
in
weird,
general
because
is
you
looking
still
very
say
good.
K,
I think
kills.
maybe the very first map and the very first match
Kills,
that Space Station
deaths,
Gaming
assists.
had.
No, it's kills,
It was a little shaky.
casualties,
We
and
wanted to
assists.
see more, but they immediately showed us
Oh, a
more
K is
in the
knockout,
second
but-
match around. So just across the
Knocked
board,
out,
things
yeah,
are gelling
KO.
so well for this
Knocked
new
out,
Space Station Gaming.
casualties.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the stats alone, Zoe, the strats from TSM, 3 of them, by the way, were not having a good time. Literally getting farmed out here, and then you have Month and Renko, who were getting away with murder. Literally with the BRB, just bringing back a member of Space Station consistently, and that would be usually Shenji, who can then just go invisible, get more
I hate how they can't say
information
kills
by
and
being
deaths.
on the
I
back
mean,
line,
chat, it's
harassing
Marvel.
and taking away more of the attention away from the strategists that are TSM, preventing Guru from even being able to be kept up, right? Because Devil Dino just takes so much of that damage, having such a large
Fuck this
healing
cancer
that he has
game.
to rely on is
No,
difficult
that's
when your
next
own
game
strategists
when
can't even
EXG
maintain
plays
themselves.
STD. That's next game.
Now, the big question, of course, is where should we take us next? It is, of course, TSM picking our second map. We talked about it in the pre-show, right? We do see a lot of Museum of Contemplation. Is that the way to go, Gaskin?
I don't think it is the way to go, but I think it's where we are going to go inevitably, just with how much selection we've seen. It seems to be a comfort pick for almost everyone. I would prefer to see TSM be a bit more brave. Unless TSM genuinely feel like this is their best map and their best chance, we've just seen you're going up against a Black Cat who has caused a lot of problems. Museum of Contemplation is going to open that up again for the Black Cat, if not other dive characters. Maybe go something like Midtown, which is just a little bit safer against dive, but it seems like TSM, maybe they just want to go for something that apparently they might have practiced.
Yeah, let's take a look. And it is Museum of Contemplation. Okay, so but both teams obviously had the reps on this one. We just saw SSG actually playing it against Stick Drift at the end of
Do we think they're going to win, chat?
So,
Yay
Vicky,
or nay?
perhaps they saw something in that match
Yay
that
or
they
nay,
cracked SSG's armor that they feel like they can use or rather abuse here?
I'm not too sure. I mean, it's the fact that like TSM.
Bro, I love
this map.
TSM just needs to stop playing the Iron Man. Listen, because it works for another team,
maps worked out
doesn't mean it's gonna work for your team.
Maybe trying to go against the grain and maybe trying to rely on another comfort pick, Zoe. But we're gonna have to find out if it does work out here for TSM because they desperately need at least one map.
They do indeed, and we're about to find out as we're heading into map number 2. SSG on match point. Can they close it out here? Let's find out.
All right, Gaskin, we saw SSG farming, and we saw the pick and ban phase lean heavily in the way that SSG wanted to roll out the gates with, because you try to pull out a cheesy composition. That penny didn't last very long on the board.
Yo, Jay3
that
Socials with the massive
stay
give sub.
upright,
Appreciate
and the triple strat, just wasn't really working out. Again, I wanted to see Cal's Phoenix a lot earlier. It wasn't banned out against
Cal
them,
go
but
Phoenix.
Is TSM going to take care of the
BTS
possible
goes another
verticality
DPS.
that the Elsa could provide when they wanted to prioritize and ban out the Phoenix instead is another question.
Yeah, but then what do you leave up? You leave up as Star-Lord, and I feel like the same thing could happen. Yeah. Again, going up against Nectar, I think it's very difficult to ban out duelists. Maybe you get rid of one, but trying to get rid of two, I just think it opens up so much more for SSG. Their Vanguards and their strategists just have so much more freedom. We will see the ban of Mantis coming out from TSM. I wonder whether they'll try and get Mantis on their side yet again to go into SSG.
Maybe you guys should save the Phoenix.
Something they did all the way back in week 1
Maybe
against
you guys should save the Phoenix and play the Phoenix because they want to play
similar.
Rocket Raccoon. Chat thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you
Black
want to
Cat's
just, if you
banned,
can't
that's
prioritize
good. Maybe we save the Phoenix.
Well, we did see this
little
type
save
of
on the
ban and
Phoenix.
phase.
Can we get a save on the Phoenix?
Didn't ban it against them. They protect the Phoenix now. Okay, so Cal could heavily rely on this. They do not have access to the rocket, of course, but over on the space station side, they do at least have that Sia, so it's going to be a lot of damage to deal with. Now it's up to TSM to be able to counter that, since we did see space station roll out of the gates with the rocket, or could have been a bait, because I feel like at this point, if you're going to be focusing on like the duelist lineup that is impossible to target ban, maybe try to dismantle that strat backline that was keeping space station.
Okay, let's see this.
Yeah, I think this is a good ban from SSG as well, taking out the Mantis, because clearly that was what TSM were trying to prioritize as they were going through their pick and ban phase. You remove one of their key aspects and one of their core ways to play the game, and maybe they have to go for something a bit different. I think SSG win this pick and ban again, especially with the Black Cat being taken out. They've said, all right, so
Overwatch
you'll do that
casters out of
on map
Marvel
1,
Rivals.
we'll get rid of your Black Cat, and then you're just going to be like, okay, well,
brother,
we've
do you
just
not
got
realize
anything else.
that
We play Daredevil if we wanted to play Daredevil?
casters
There's so
cast
many
a lot of
options
games
that are available. Again, banning Duelist is very difficult, but we'll have to see whether it pays off.
Like even
SSG
Vicky
at the moment hovering
Vicky
a
casts
Moon Knight, which
Smash,
we know how good Moon Knight can
Apex,
be into Devil
Overwatch,
Dinosaur. He
Valorant.
becomes a walking unk pretty much, and you are going to destroy. But I
you do
think
realize
the
caster's got to make a living too, right?
Discussing in the moment.
It was just aura farming. You saw that slow walk up there too. Feeling
even Zoe casts Overwatch, not even just Overwatch, Marvel Rivals. She does
TSM.
I'm pretty sure she's casted
Looking at the
Valorant
composition
as well.
already, remember TSM had the Luna banned against them, so they can't go in with the team up together with the White Box, as well as the Emma
Okay, come on,
which
let's get this.
Also prioritized
Cal on
well,
DPS. Bedtime stories a day. Chat, it's coming. It's coming true. It's coming.
Bedtime story.
It's coming. BTS on DPS.
Cal
on DPS. Let's get it.
Trying to take a portal positioning, maybe behind space station.
No,
yeah,
I'm not. They're trying to
You've got to make sure you
someone
don't put
fall
yourself
off.
too much of an exposed area as well. He's also scouting at the same time, just giving information as where
Bro,
people are.
what is what are we doing here, man?
At the same time, which can be very good.
We are wasting 30 seconds with this portal.
Information that they would like.
Oh, Guru,
Brother!
portaling the UAV right now. Like, he's literally giving
40
comms
seconds!
using his portal as a camera. All right. Well,
We
he puts down the
wasted
portal
40
as, it's going
seconds
to
for
be,
that!
Hold us up in the ground before the rest of TSM
No,
now move
no,
up.
no, no,
I mean,
no,
you
no,
can only
no,
imagine
no,
being
no,
from
no,
Space
no,
Station
no,
side.
no,
They
no,
hear the
no.
portal, they're like, where is it? We don't know where the portal is, and it was delayed that
No.
long. But Renko Month now moving back. Renko's already close to the Sia himself, while TSM just slowly trying to approach this next corner.
I mean, it's relatively intelligent, right? It almost guarantees you a little bit of room moving up that convoy.
Intelligent? They just
Everyone's
wasted a 3-minute
backing off,
cooldown
expecting the
after
portal behind
spending
them.
40
But now
seconds
you
to
are
set it
just
up.
going to open yourself up to
40!
a can of whoop pass here from SSG, I feel, because they are
I
in
literally
prime
just
position
turned
to
40
really
waiting
delete
for that portal to
TSM. You
happen.
can already see that Moon Knight is getting to work.
Hopefully, it doesn't act as a double-edged sword before that 3-minute cooldown. Angie's farming, though, finds Guru, and that's something that
Come
you
on,
already
guys.
mentioned, Gaskin.
Come on,
when you have
guys.
the Devil Dino on the opposing side, you're just basically a walking Ankh at that point where you're just going to be able to farm so much of that damage, as well as the hand of Khonshu that is among us.
Yeah, I mean, you should do it in ranked, basically. If you're against a Double Dino and Moon Knight is up, please play Moon Knight because it is the freest damage of life and also very difficult to go up against. It's sometimes worth switching off of the Double Dino, but I think in pro play, they have better ways to go against it, but you can already see the Hand of Khonshu does the damage and forces out the invisible boundary.
And that's a W there for Space Station, forcing out that very important strategist ultimate. And now with the Sia, the get ready, set, go button in a different form. It's not the Rage and Royal Flush, but
God.
it's the damage output of the Sia together with the Galactic Legend. And Nectar is farming here. The rest of Space Station still holding on to Month and the fate of both worlds. So they're just going to be able to stagger right through this.
This is what I mean, like SSG would have been laughing at that lock and ban phase because they say, okay, you get rid of the Black Cat, but you've now left Star-Lord open for our prime player, for our #1 duelist, really, to just go off, especially when you've got Zanji doing all that damage as Moon Knight, forcing TSM back, making them weak, making them focus the Moon Knight, and then suddenly Nectar just comes out of nowhere and deletes everyone. Yeah, TSM need to find a way to break through this, maybe something that can just jump onto some of these Vanguards and rip them away.
Here in the documentary, though, it's not the predator of the Dino, it's the predator here of Nectar prowling about, hunting on the Star-Lord as Renko shoves the rocket gun over onto Unknown and takes out the Venom. The BRB does bring back Milk Boy, and that means it's not going to bring back Nectar as it is on cooldown. They're just trying to kite away outside of his line of sight, just so that way they can negate even more damage away from this Galactic Legend. And together with the Rampage, they're staggering these ultimates, specifically TSM, but a great grab on the Dino v Dino violence.
Yeah, they're getting the grabs, but not really able to put them in any sort of area where they can do enough damage to delete them. Maybe you could grab them into a room, which will really give you that advantage to try and take down that Dino away from the strategist, and then finally, they were able to take down Necrise. They needed that because he was just being so offensive and getting in the face-off.
Oh, you got another one? That's actually crazy. The Moon creating the space as Nectar follows up to find Guru, but it's a trade-off on both ends, it looks like. But Milk Boy's got that BRB, so the number advantage is still in favor for Space Station until this very moment with Sanji going down, Month falling incredibly low, forced to back out real quick before Guru comes back in. Portal contention as well now from Space Station, not giving TSM an inch of progress here to get this first checkpoint. Now you see Month finding Unknown, Gilbert does the next fall, and TSM down in 2 numbers now with only 3 members left.
Yeah, 10 seconds for Guru as well, so there's not going to be a portal available for them. SSG are going to clearly wipe this one off the face of the earth, and TSM will not even get to the first point. SSG, again, asserting their dominance here, and this might be a quick map and a quick series if it carries on this way. It's difficult to really know what TSM can do here defensively because SSG are just winning the neutral over and over again. And that's just going to happen when you're going up against some of these duelists, right? Like Nectar having a field day, Zanji also on the Moon Knight probably laughing to themselves as well. Very comfortable at the moment.
We've seen Sanji on Moon Knight before too to break out of these interesting chokes, and just looking at the stats alone, once again, Renko and Month have not gone down a single time. Really,
this
just
is why you
going
should
down
never
like 5
trust
times
anyone,
in total
chat.
for Space Station. Here.
I was
Milk Boy
told
still
that
putting
things
in a
were going
lot
to be
of that
different.
pressure too.
I was
TSM
lied
on the
to.
other side. I mean, imagine if instead of using the
And
Doctor
therefore,
Strange portal for
it
information,
made me give you guys a bad
if you
prediction.
had a diving
Which
duelist, you
I
have Black
think,
Cat
honestly,
available for you,
I give good
Gaskin.
predictions.
Like, that could easily, or even Daredevil, really, if you want to roll out and get information too. Like, but that's not something TSM rolled out of the gates with. And now as we swap sides, seeing what they could do maybe a little differently here. Unknown is on the Emma, and once again, the Luna is banned, so it's not like you're gonna have that team up. But Gilbert Noodle hovering over the Loki too to try to get the copy over onto the visible boundary from Brady.
Yeah, I think TSM lacking identity at the moment. They don't really know what they want to play. They can't tell if they should be brawling, if they should be diving, if they should be playing front to back. It's just not working out for them. They're trying a little bit of everything, but they're quite sporadic. They're all over the place and don't quite have the synergy. That's to be expected. They made changes from preseason to now, but they are putting themselves in a position where if they lose this one, they are on the brink of elimination. They still have the chance of surviving, getting to playoffs.
Bro, Necrise is doing 360 no-scope Call of Duty montages in a professional game.
Now is one round, and they guarantee themselves
That's how
playoffs.
bad it's going right now.
A bit of a cushion right underneath Space Station. Shanji's still sticking over to this Moon Knight while Nectar is trying to pull more attention away from the flanking side. I love it's the Star-Lord v Star-Lord action that we're having here before Nectar just wraps up on the other side of the corner. But Gilbert Noodle was feeling some more of that pressure before backing away. Doesn't want to force out these lamps just early yet.
Nectar's so good at their prioritization, by the way, always making sure they're helping the rest of the team by taking down Lokis, for example, taking down those clones, but then re-engaging with the duelists to keep them out of the fight, and also knowing where the health packs are. Duelists take note.
Sometimes not spamming I need healing here just to reposition when you can keep up the pressure is even better, like what Nectar is doing currently right now. But he's also got the safety net of a BRB from Renko. Milkboy too activates a Banhammer. He does have the BRB though. We were just talking about it. It's gonna bring him back. Necrise taking a good chunk of that damage. Nectar
barely
too.
lived
Still finding that 1v1 versus Cal over by the health pack side.
Good D,
Needs
man.
some help
Keep up
here.
the good D.
Keep up the good D. Position, and it's the hand of Khonshu, the moon, coming to haunt them, and the Ankh right at the feet of Unknown.
As soon as I said that, never mind.
Difficulty for TSM as well. They're so scared of the hand of Khonshu. They weren't grouping, which left them very vulnerable to being really prioritized and taken out of the fight and just removed from the equation. And now SSG marching close to this one. TSM, what have they got? An invisible boundary to stop it.
Now here, Reddy does find that himself stunned. Gilbert Noodle is close to the God of Mischief, and Renko still holding onto the Sia. Together with the Galactic Legend, they're going to do the Wombo combo. They delete the Sia, though, with the Phoenix and Song Inferno. They're keeping everybody up, but they still have so much time to work with that.
Yeah, Gilbert able to put another invisible boundary down, but now everything has been used. It's going to be eyes on Cal, really, with that Galactic Legend that's about to pop as just a final attempt to try and stop SSG on this push. But SSG have the time. They've still got 1 minute 55. They can afford to go down to one more ultimate wave here.
And Month, with enough healing, we'll be able to
stop the massacre, chat. TSM only needs to hold this for 1 minute and 45 seconds. They win.
Time though, and Shanji does have the hand of Khonshu. Now with Cal backing away, it could be a wasted Galactic Legend instead. Eye of Agamotto finds two, but the hand of Khonshu still crashing over their heads, and the BRB still brings back Shanji here. 2 members out at the hand of TSM, and Cal has to fly back to the rest of his team, and Gilbert Noodle with the rest of TSM have actually been able to hold back Space Station this fight.
Yeah, we have to give TSM credit. That was a fantastic hold with the invisible boundary, and they do now put the pressure
we're going to a map
SSG.
3, chat. We're going to a map 3. Let's get it.
Win this. They can't afford to go 0-3 in groups, otherwise they are really going to be struggling.
Tie game 1-1.
And a lot of it was down to the ultimate usage, and also Gilbert being able to prioritize getting that invisible boundary down as well, right?
I'm not jinxing, bro. Jinxing doesn't even work.
Against. But SSG, now they are building up their own ults here, but the time is ticking.
There is no such thing as a curse.
Night last, though, at the very end, as Shanji does make the swap up over to the Daredevil, and it's about marking these strategists too, because as you already mentioned, Gaskin, that invisible boundary is so important, and it can be the Venn diagram that benefits them once Gilbert Noodle gets his God of Mischief in the form of the invisible boundary too. Bedtime Story holding on to that end Song Inferno just to combat that of the Cia from Renko.
Yeah, also you want to communicate with Cal here, and if Cal can get that initial damage, then you can maybe use the end Song Inferno to get a pick onto the back line, but Galactic Legend is used by
I wouldn't fly in the air like that.
But there is a response. Bedtime Story
does
find
Milkboy it's even. 5v5, 5v5.
TSM holding. We've got a straight 5v5 at the moment.
It's what happens when you have Loki on a map like this too. He gets to take so many different positionings with those clones. And
Nectar lived?
Now the invisible boundary goes out, and Guru goes on a rampage here, activates the Devil Dino ultimate, and Shanji is looking to prowl and prey on the strat
chat, this is where we win.
He forces out the lamps here.
Oh wait, they didn't get that kill. That's crazy. He dies anyways. This is where we get that win. Let's go.
Taken away.
Let's go.
TSM.
Let's go.
Numbers. Space is
Let's
out
go.
desperately portal to contest on the point.
Yeah, TSM might have just done enough here, and it's going to be
Let's go, Cal!
on the
Let's go, Gilbert!
And TSM, maybe
Let's
they
go!
chose this map for a reason.
Let's go!
They are attack was pretty weak,
now,
but
Chad.
their defense
Say it now.
was
Say
everything
it now.
but solid as a rock from TSM here to make sure they stay alive, not just in the series. They want to keep their tournament hopes of getting the playoffs alive as well.
I don't want to say it, but they put Cal on DPS.
Their first map, Gaskin.
And they put
their
other
first
DPS
map that
player
we
on
see
DPS chat.
TSM
Look at
go
that shit.
the distance.
Look at it.
Practice makes
Look.
perfect, and the way that they were
Look
able
at
to
it.
adapt around the opposition,
TSM
especially
winner.
on a game like
Look
that,
at
came
it.
in clutch.
Look.
The double invisible
Look at
boundaries, the
it.
way that they were able to stagger those strat ultimates too, as well as taking the
Nice.
time and realizing, okay, if game number 1 did not work out, where you
Nice.
weren't dealing with the Rocketeer, you make the swap over to the Phoenix a lot earlier, use the End Song Infernal to counter that ultimate and the wombo combo of
man.
the Galactic
Good
Legend.
shit.
Great
We have
adaptation
ourselves
here
a
for
game,
TSM.
bro.
We're going on
We
to our
have
very
ourselves
first
a
game
game.
3 of the week, everyone. Don't go anywhere, because map 3 comes on the other side of this break.
I told you guys, the person who DM'd me and said that I have to trust them, I wouldn't lie to you guys. I trust that person. Because that person, let me look at my Discord real quick. That person ended up being, let me find their name. Right here. That person ended up being me. So you guys trust me. I told you guys.
We're the winners when we walk in like ballers.
Uh-oh. What's happening?
Hey JMP1 and Rivals and Imanima Starlord main, I was wondering if you could review my gameplay.
Ooh, yo, pizza. Appreciate the massive donut, my friend. Any gameplay or VOD reviews or anything goes through my Discord, so make sure to join my Discord, which, by the way, we have 75,000 people in. Join the Discord chat, 75,000 people. So I lose 2 games where J3 set was wrong and then he gets that right. No. I'm always right. I'm always right. Oh, man. You know, life is very hard when you can just predict everything correctly in life. I mean, it's just a talent that I have, man. It's just a talent. My credit balance is proof of the curse. Yeah, well, you probably have billions of dollars because you trust J3. I agree. I agree. When you trust J3, you end up having just billions of dollars. Like, when you trust J3, chat, you get so rich, you don't have to buy toilet paper anymore because you just use your $100 bills. You don't even have to buy tissue paper anymore when you need to sneeze or blow your nose because it's $100 bills. You don't even need to buy water anymore. You could just take a bath and just $100 bills. Yeah, it's crazy. Yep. It's probably going to be Shin Shibuya for the next map. I think the next map is going to be... Listen, I'll show you guys how good I am at predicting right now. Ready? Watch this. I think the next map is going to be... the Wakanda map. It's going to be the Wakanda map. Halajalia, or however you pronounce it. Watch. Watch. Let's make the next map Spider Island. Spider Islands. It has to be a hybrid, or how they call it, convergence or something. What right? Convergence, yeah. Fondling the invisible bookies to help with the prediction. No, bro. What? You want to see how I win predict? You want to see how I predict every single game correctly? Here, I'll show you guys my secret. I'll show you guys my secret. Oh. What? Ah. My magic ball, chat. Look at that. Oh my. Oh wait, oh my god, what, can I get it? Oh my god! Woo! Hello! How are you guys? It's my magic ball, man. You guys like my magic ball? Look at that. Nice. Nice. It's upside down, chat. There's no side to the ball, bro. It's just a ball. Gigantify an email, Caleb, with another massive butt spammed in chat. Appreciate it, appreciate it. Oh. Just got back. How the fuck did TSM win a game? Oh, you missed it. That was a good game. Oh, let me put this back real quick. You missed a good game.
And with this dub, we finally see the first map victory for TSM. Guys, friends, family, acquaintances, this is exactly what we wanted to see, and that means we're going the distance. Welcome back, everyone. So we here joined by Vicky and Dan. Guys, like, they did it. They did it. We doubted them, you know. They took us to Museum of Contemplation. We're like, is this the right choice? Probably not, but we were not familiar with their game, so apologies. Apologies from us. Let's talk about how they got it done and who stepped up big times for them, Dan.
Yeah, I think that TSM should be very proud of themselves. Their attack was pretty weak, some questionable decisions, but their defense was everything but. Like, they coordinated successfully. Really takes the MVP as well. Was just it was their backline that I feel like won it for them. The way they avoided the dive at the end of the game, their timing of their ultimates as well to make sure they were staying alive, and also keeping the rest of the squad alive. How elongated was the duelist fight, and how many times did you see the Star-Lord get healed because they were constantly keeping eyes on them whilst keeping everyone up? So very impressive backline from TSM, and this is the confidence booster they needed. I mentioned it. If they had lost that round, they would have been 0-3 in this group, and they would have been on the brink of elimination from this chance of getting to playoffs. So they are keeping themselves alive.
Vicky, which of these individuals stood out to you? Good or bad? You can take it wherever you want.
So, like, look at these numbers. They don't tell the full story. Like, this is what happens when you rely, you know, on a map pick of your choice that you've been able to at least practice on and feel a lot more comfortable. Even though we've seen every team take everybody game 2 to Museum of Contemplation, TSM clutch it out in the end, even with these numbers. But if you want to talk about a standout player specifically, I gotta say, Bedtime Story going over to the Phoenix to counter that of Renko and having not only a BRB that he would have to recall back temporarily if he calls out the Phoenix and Song Inferno, but then also dealing with the Sia to prevent Nectar from having that 3-2-1 get ready set go button on the Galactic Legend, the basically win button that they want to lean into for that condition. And even that, TSM also making the adjustments they needed. Gilbert Noodle being on the Loki and on Museum of Contemplation, you get to kind of scatter those clones everywhere, and it's difficult to finding a diving opportunity even after Sandy did swap over to the Daredevil at the very last second.
Of course, on the flip side, though, as we just finished the match, or rather the map, Gaskin, you shared with me, maybe in confidence, but I'm going to say it now right here on the stream, that you feel like maybe SSG came in a little bit too confident. Would you be willing to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think they went into a bit
I told
of
you guys, I said Shin Shibuya.
They were pretty much there on the point. They just needed to allow one
Let's get
ultimate
it.
round to go through for the side of TSM. It happened, but then TSM had a surprise for them, and they were able to pop out yet another invisible boundary. SSG slightly overcommitted.
What do you tell your
Again,
barber
could have
when
been
you get a
overconfident.
haircut? Oh, I
And
tell
do
him to
think
fuck
they
my shit
just
up.
let it drop a little bit here, Vicky. As crack that neck. Go on. Yeah,
I was about to say, man, she's
loose,
getting
Vicky.
ready.
Let's get loose in
I'm
here because it's the
set.
first map 3 we've seen in
Yo,
ages.
5-star.
Yeah,
and
so
it's
you
gonna be
already know how hyped
Shibuya
I've been too.
That's right. You had a physical reaction when we saw Shin Shibuya popping onto our screens during the break, and now again cracking the neck, getting ready for it. We're getting ready for this. Is 1-1-1 the scoreline. Let's see which team is closing it out.
1-1.
Thank you so much, Zoe. And they really had to catch me out here, too. I mean, I heard, listen. Gotta give them the 1-2, Scooby-Doo. I mean, in the pick and ban phase 2, TSM showing signs of life, Gaskin. And by the way, I have to just let everybody know, this is like the first time we see Shin Shibuya in the entire group stages. Like, we have not been able to really see too many game 3s. Again, this is the first time we get a game 3 for this week alone. And the Devil Dinos have been protected here. No Mantis on the table for at least Space Station, and the prioritization, no surprise there, on the Gambit, but they still rely on banning out the Rocket Raccoon against TSM, and it makes me wonder here, yes, perfect, save the Phoenix, because if you're going to call that out from Space Station, which they've relied on for the last 2 games that you've already played, then you at least have the answer for the CEO once it's deployed.
Yeah, I think SSG are one of the only teams that have gone to a Game 3 so far in this stage in Week 1 against Equinox. So they've been here before. They've been able to clutch up. I don't think it will demoralize them too much, although I think they will be kicking themselves a little bit. They didn't get it done in 2, as they will get the Rocket Protect once more. So it's, again, a very similar ban. I mean, it doesn't really surprise me. TSM are going for what worked for them in the previous and just trying to remove some of those heroes that were a detriment to them in Map 1. As for SSG, fairly familiar as well, just getting rid of Mantis for the most part. And Shin Shibuya, though, is a very different ball game than what we've just saw previously in Museum of Contemplation. That initial point, the brawling that you have to go through to try and take it can be very difficult indeed. And if we take anything away from domination, the neutral was far better on the side of SSG. So if they can break quickly here, then I do think we might see TSM struggle. That being said, if TSM can survive the initial neutral, get the ultimate economy in their favor, maybe, just maybe, we see an upset here.
Let's see if it's possible, if it's in the books. Again, wasn't a huge lover of the stats even after TSM won, but that's
Chat, why would I be clicking when both of my
It
hands are right
depends
here
on
playing
who
with my
ends up playing the objective even better, and that's exactly what TSM did. And when we talk about different positioning for Lokis too, this is another one of those great maps that Gilbert Noodle could thrive on, being on the Loki, having those different positionings with those clones, and being able to build up that God of Mischief to get the invisible boundary from Bredy, who was popping off that last game as they're locked and loaded. Space Station all rolling out of the gates on the attack with Renko, opting to still go over to the Rocket to have that Sia to combine that together with Nectar and the Galactic Legend.
What does SSG have then? Will their frustration from the end of that map show and it just becomes a little bit of a wallop here at the start to grab this first point? Or can TSM continue to hold that defense just as they did previously? It's going to be a lot of focus onto this backline, and already there's the dive onto it as well. The Venom does get the initial damage, but TSM holds strong, a little pat cake to make sure they stay alive.
Coming out, too, from left field is going to be Milk Boy, just waiting for the opportunity to dive on the first victim. You see Bedtime Story lingering right underneath to take an off angle so that way they can continuously harass Space Station. But this also goes together with the fact that Month being on that Luna and getting away with this is a huge deal in keeping Necrise alive. Now Space Station are just trying to take different angles. Shanji does need some help to dive onto the Loki. Can they force out the lamps early, though? And you can already see the immediate retaliation from TSM as they were looking to help heal for them.
Well, SSG really struggled with a dive in the last one, and it looks like it's more of the same here. As I say that as well, Bedtime Story gets the pick onto Nectar, and TSM are doing well to hold it once more, and the BRB is available there,
why were they putting him on
but
support,
SSG just
chat?
unable to find these strategists. TSM are grouping up so much, making it near impossible for any of this dive to do anything.
Nectar 2 taking a huge chunk of that damage as Necrise gets caught,
grab by
gets the
Guru.
diamond pulled right out of him with the crystal. They take him down, and they follow up to find Shanji. This is a great look and composition that is working out beautifully for TSM as Bedtime Story
Imagine what happens, chat, when they put their 2 DPS players on
as soon as they saw the Venom
DPS.
initially, and they saw the attempt to jump on the strategist backline, they said, let's just make sure we group up. Let's go inside the room as well, so it's even more difficult for us to get picked off and isolated isolated, and there's been no isolation whatsoever from the side of SSG. They're going to attempt it again, but Bedtime Story again on that Phoenix just about gets away, but then gets shot down. So SSG, there's their opener.
Who's cheering on BTS again?
Sharks them before Cal now coming over. He's got the Kraken impact. We got to talk about the Bucky too, as the invisible boundary is going to come in right after the deal with that of the Sia. They were waiting for the Galactic Legend before trying to dive together, and Shanti now opening things up on the Moon Knight is going to find Guru. This is so much damage, but you get the God of Mischief. Do we get the invisible boundary recontest here on the point?
Guru also just switches over to that Doctor Strange as well to make sure they have that chance of a portal, but it is going to be the dance floor just to try and hold on to said point and force them back by Psionic Seduction. It's just going to force them away enough to keep this point alive.
Wait,
and it has
I
not
just
been
realized
grabbed just yet
something.
from SSG.
Yeah, wait a minute.
The Psionic
They have
Seduction from
Gilbert
both
Noodle,
sides,
their,
though. It's gonna
their
have to be a
tank
little
player,
later
on
for Nectar,
support,
and
and they
it's
took
gonna
their
benefit
support
them in the
player,
end because Nectar after
Unovan,
that
and put him on
2K, it's a
tank.
clean wipe as Space Station get this payload moving.
I think Bedtime Story will be a bit frustrated with that one, because on the Phoenix, your job is, of course, to avoid getting picked off like that. You have the chance to dash away, go and use those iframes, but it was an impressive follow-up from Nectar and SSG, just being able to delete the initial. And as soon as you have that player advantage, it just gives you that confidence. And even with the invisible boundary going down, SSG, they countered it with their own ult, and they made sure they just kept pressuring and kept applying that position onto them. As we get a little pause between the two teams right now, as SSG have captured that
Appreciate
first
that
point
for
here.
25 months. How you doing, my friend?
And I really want to follow from your point too while we have this quick pause. It's the just immediate retaliation of knowing, okay,
Are you watching the World Cup? I would love to watch the World Cup, but sadly MRI
now that's
is
not a
going
threat
on at the
here
same time,
to
so
allow
it
Renko
makes
to
it kind of
thrive.
hard.
You get the Sia, and you don't have an Ensong Inferno that's going to be able to take it off the table. So that was the get ready, set, go button that they needed to rely on because
Yeah,
it
I
forced
wanted
out
to
a
watch
little
the
bit of
games,
an
but
early
it's going on at the
invisible
same
boundary,
time.
then a delayed reaction in the God of Mischief, just so that way they could keep contesting. It was all desperate measures from TSM simply because of that one crucial pick.
Yeah, and how many times do you see like an invisible boundary drop and everyone kind of backs off, repositions, and they're like, okay, well, we can't really do anything against this boundary.
Why are they
It's exactly
pausing?
the opposite for SSG. They kept playing
Chat,
the
it
pressure,
could be a lot of
dropped
issues,
the
man.
amplifier down
Someone's
as well so they could
headset
counter
died,
it,
someone's
and
mouse
still were dealing
died,
damage through it.
someone
Having the ability just to shoot
had
into it, hope you
someone
hit
shit
something,
themselves
at least
and they
try
gotta go
and
change
for it. And
themselves.
I think that was very
Someone
impressive.
probably
from
lost
SSG.
power,
That they didn't
someone
just
lost
get
internet.
scared
Could
from
be
the
a lot of
invisible
things.
boundary as so many teams do, and now they find themselves with the first point, and from this point onwards, it becomes a very different game as they're going to be able to move this one.
Yeah, because then you talk about the second checkpoint and what the terrain provides, right? You have a lot more of that verticality to work off of. If you do want to swap off of the Moon Knight,
Lone Runner
that could
for
be an
2
option.
months.
You
Appreciate
still
it. How
have
you
those
doing, my
narrow
friend?
corridors, but you do want to thrive on having more of these open line sides into this hit scan composition that you could also try to flex onto Gaskin.
Yeah, I think that they can change so much
Oh,
as
we're
well. I
back,
think
we're
that's what's
back,
good
we're
about SSG is they have such a variety in their hero pool that they will just be delighted they were able to break that first point. Because if you look at the previous game, it was just a case of getting stuck in one position, not really knowing where to go with their own composition, and TSM kind of had their answer. But now SSG, they've got a little bit more freedom and, of course, plenty of time as they start to march forward. They
In
have
the
3
middle of
minutes
a
on the
tournament,
clock.
maybe your mom walked in and said,
Hopefully
that's
it
enough
doesn't halt
computer
their
time,
momentum, too,
sweetie. It
just
kicks
coming
you
out
off the
of that
computer in
pause,
the middle of a
just sticking to
tournament.
that Moon Knight.
Like,
I
you don't
love
know,
that
a lot of
Bedtime
things could
Story
happen.
is acting as a security guard of the backline for the rest
Come on,
of
sweetie.
TSM, making sure that Nectar
too
does
much-
not get that
too much
early
computer
pickoff
time. Let's
onto
get
the
off.
foundation of TSM between Brady and Gilbert Noodle. Guru taking a huge chunk of that damage. It's all for free before you have the hand of Khonshu coming in to crash over their heads as Bedtime Story gets a reset and comes crashing also on top of Nectar's forehead. This allows TSM now to pull all the way up, and they have the Kraken impact for this next fight as we have
That was a
another
lot of fun,
technical
chat.
pause.
That was a lot of
Something's
fun.
definitely up for one of the squads. Hopefully it gets sorted out soon, but that's a win for TSM. The invisible boundary comes down at the same time the amplifier did, but this time the invisible boundary won out. They were able to isolate a couple of those SSG players, and SSG just had to back off. That being said, they still have plenty of time.
Let's go back up
so
here.
I don't think they'll be too annoyed, but it does start to get a little bit worrying as that time ticks down, and maybe they
Cal
think
is
back
having
to Museum of
issues?
Contemplation and say, hey, we don't want to get stuck in that same run. Let's make sure we
And I
switch things
remember
up a little bit
correctly,
earlier
Cal
here,
is
'cause if we just
Canadian.
start
Up,
throwing the
chat,
same
another
thing
L
over
for
and over,
Canada.
they become a little bit predictable,
Can't even
and
win
then
in
maybe
hockey
TSM
either.
become comfortable
That's
enough to pull this one
crazy,
out.
man.
Yeah, gotta be careful, right? You don't want anyone snipping onto your keyboard. Don't cut the cord real quick. Make sure everyone's internet is all settled here before we dive into a very important series, right? Because with TSM,
But I will
now
say,
tying
W
up the
Canada,
series going
they're
into
actually
map
getting those
3,
Chinese
you
cars,
talk
bro.
about
Those
the point
Chinese cars are
differentials,
fucking
Gaskin, and what that
awesome.
means already when we're reaching the end of this second week before we dive into the last week of group stages, where even if you draw in terms of other teams here,
Yo,
on who's gonna
Ghost
make it into the
Legend.
top
Appreciate
four,
guys have get this on, my
that
friend.
one map could determine whether you will qualify or not.
Yeah, and It doesn't mean, when I say TSM are going to be on the brink of elimination, it doesn't mean they are done at 0-3. There's still a chance they could break through, but they might need results to go their way elsewhere.
Their cars in China, bro, those things are so fucking sick, chat.
By a knock-on effect,
when I
also
went to
guarantee TLC.
When I went to the mid-season finals with Emily in China, bro, oh my god, you go into that car, you sit down, they have like a whole lazy boy, you know, like one of those reclining chairs that have like a touchpad screen that you can get massages on, bro. Those are
going to be a lot of easy games.
Insane, dude.
TSM haven't looked very strong, but it seems like finally TSM are finding their identity.
Their cars are insane, man. The technology in those cars,
no more
oh my god.
Tactical pauses out here. No more halting momentum. If anything, TSM are thriving in the chaos. Guru does have that rampage, and once again, to reiterate, Cal does have the Kraken impact too. And they have the sustain if they need it, with Gilbert Noodle having the God of Mischief. They want to allow Brady to also get enabled to get that invisible boundary a little bit closer, because right now Space Station will have the sustain after we see Renko now go over to the Invis, while Month is still sticking onto this Luna Snow.
Well, Galactic Legend is going to be popped, but look at the response yet again. There is going to be another invisible boundary. The Loki has just been so valuable here for TSM to give them double invisible boundary, as now Psionic Seduction will come out on the flip.
It kind of looked like a bait there too, right, Gaskin? Because you did see the kind of kite back once you see the Galactic Legend couldn't hit its mark with the invisible boundary, but you force that out and you allow Shanty to rain the hand of Khonshu on the rest of the opposition that is TSM. So much damage, and their pathing blocked by that big AoE ultimate, and now the rest of TSM have to regroup together because Brady did not have the invisible boundary to follow up right afterwards.
Was it Big Bright from SSG? Was
Ghost
it a
Legend.
complete bait, like you say, just to get the invisible boundary out of their way, because it has been their biggest detriment, but it is going to be one last attempt at holding this one. The dance floor versus invisible boundary. Both teams should be able to survive as long as you're standing in the right place at the right time, but that's going to be the first to fall on the side of SSG, and now again and again as we see TSM fight back.
Help! He needs help! Ayúdame, Cal coming in, wanted to follow up with a Kraken impact. Beautiful lamps.
Nice
As the insurance
screens,
policy
Gilbert.
that Cal
Nice
needed.
screens.
Gilbert Noodle has been playing phenomenal for this series thus far, especially after making a swap over to the Loki. Then Guru then follows up.
20 seconds, chat. 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Oh my god.
To get to the second checkpoint for Space Station.
Yeah, one last push here for
TSM
SSG,
holds, I'm gonna
but
bust.
you look at the ultimate economy. TSM have nothing. Milk
They
Boy's
don't
going to
have
have
any
Rampage
ults, yeah.
available. He's going to be the one to initiate everything, and then by that time, when you get the force back, Hand of Khonshu should be available again for SSG. They should be able to win this fight, and here comes the initiation.
Before coming in with the rampage here, Nectar makes a swap over to the Elsa, having to look at those longer sightlines that we had mentioned before, while Shanty does have the Hand of Khonshu.
Oh!
Bedtime Story, though,
They got the first
Nectar,
pick!
shuts down the clock.
Good shit,
Big first
BTS.
pickoff, but the Hand of Khonshu, the moon, the lamps, though, still coming out in clutch. Something that I was just not expecting from Gilbert Noodle when we usually see the Penny, we usually see the Strange, but now
Gilbert
it's
Noodle,
in the form of
support
the
ult.
Loki.
Get
Overtime
it.
ticking away means that Space
Get
Station
it.
cannot get off this point, but the God of
Huge.
Mischief keeps them all alive, whereas Space Station don't have the same thing to match. They don't have the same sustain. They
Oh
swapped
my
a little
God.
too
Oh my
late,
God.
as we saw
Doable.
Renko on that Loki.
Doable.
But they at least get that one checkpoint, and they get stopped right before the second one, Gaskin.
Bedtime Story starting to pop off and wants to read them a
Oh
good
my
night,
god,
because
chat. If
SSG
TSM
just
wins
unable
this,
to
I'll
deal
do the
with them at
same
moment.
clapping
And
without
also,
my
you've
hands.
got to give credit to
on.
Gilbert. The fact that no one went down to Hand of Khonshu, by the way, there's a lot of work from the strategists to keep players up, because you saw how many were amidst that circle, but they were able to get out, and actually, I think in the end, it was just the clones that got deleted by Hand of Khonshu. SSG had ultimate economy in that
This
one.
is a great game.
In theory, should have won that fight. If you look back to map 1, they were winning the neutral. They were so confident against TSM, but TSM now look like a different team, and that is a fantastic hold from them.
Wait,
but
I just
that is
realized
only job
something.
one done here, Vicky, because again,
I just realized something. If TSM does win, I have to give all the channel points to the TSM people who voted with me, because but you guys were talking shit about me. You guys were making fun of me and saying, J3, why do I ever trust you? J3, you're shit, you're bald, you're short. Why? I'm gonna still, if TSM wins, I'm still giving the channel points to SSG.
The speed boost off the bubbles before making another swap up. Don't get excited here. We are definitely not going to see the score go, surely. But Space Station
think
here
that's
on
fair.
the defense. Shanji being on that Daredevil, but Lots of questions around Renko making us up over to the Loki and even going down to that second to last fight. And I really got to highlight how strong the backline of TSM has been in rotating through double invisible boundaries too, but specifically Brady, who has been on fire for this series.
Definitely on fire. I mean, again, a lot of responsibility when you are on the side of the strategist. So much to do. I think it's a very underappreciated role in general, as we are going to see the portal, which again is just going to be information gained initially, trying to work out what heroes are being played, where are they positioned, where can maybe you can take advantage of.
Don't have another 60-minute portal,
as well
bro.
in Museum and Contemplation, but perhaps could be the perfect opener here.
They get the kidnap off of the Luna isolation here before making the swap. All right.
Why
so
are we wasting 30 seconds for that?
We saw before, as Cal
Guru
finds the headshot.
This isn't your ranked games.
Daredevil, but the BRB brings him right back. You can already see him getting into position, and they're also getting marked by Nectar being on the Elsa. So looking behind him just to make sure that they can help with the peel onto the back line.
Chat, he's burning the kitchen down.
Difficult thing for both of them.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't have insurance.
Gets
it's too
eliminated
expensive.
and destroyed by Cal. Has not really been able to find the confidence that you need on the side of Daredevil, and now TSM are going to have the player advantage going into this one and this first point. And if they can get it this quickly, it's far quicker than SSG did, as it's a last-ditch attempt now as the Dino goes in, but the Dino gets ripped off it instantly.
The prehistoric lizard is back to being extinct, and now you have the portal play come in this type of Changi, but it was a little too late.
Oh my god, 5 minutes.
As it was also the rest of TSM standing in the mouth of that portal. They get this payload moving, and Gaskin, they got 5 minutes still left on the board.
This is such a change-up from map 1, where SSG looked like they were going to blow this series out of the water. TSM were going to walk away with their heads hanging down low again, and we were going to potentially see them struggling in this group. But now TSM looking like they are all fired up. They have 4 minutes 45 on the clock just to try and reach point 2 here. SSG on the ropes.
See, the End Song Inferno is online for Bedtime Story. No more Rocket Raccoon from the side of Space Station learning a lesson, but it can still delete those lamps to try to force it out even earlier. If Bedtime Story could take a different flanking angle, and even Cal too with a Kraken impact, but look, it's laying ring around the rosy between our two hit scan queens of Phoenix and Elsa, and it's a Psionic Seduction to open up the fight for TSM, forcing Space Station just to back away, but they're in the line of sight of Bedtime Story, who has been popping off as well. Now the Kraken impact comes in, it marks one, it gets the reset, it did hit itself onto Nectar, but you get the copy right on cue with the invisible boundary together to match that of Brady.
We have to give credit for Cal on this Winter Soldier as well. Has done bits, but does fall, as I say that, a little bit of a commentator's curse. Milkboy managing to get that pick as SSG should be able to just push this one back. But now you'll see the ultimate available for Loki, and it's going to be another invisible boundary coming out here. So SSG going to struggle a little bit, but they're going to go and use a counter of their own.
Between double Lokis, though, to match that of the double invisible boundaries, the rampage from both ends. As the meteor comes crashing down, Nectar finds Bedtime Story, winning off of that 1v1 trade that we were looking at earlier, and Gru's taking so much damage. Just trying to get resustained, the lamps were right on time, but they were at the number disadvantage, while Space Station are continuously winning more of these trades.
What a switch, though, from Nectar. Think back to map 1. What is it that won it? It was a lot of the Elsa picks. Nectar looked so comfortable on Elsa, but then didn't have it on map 2. As I say that, though,
come on,
there's
TSM.
BTS
You guys got
from
3 minutes.
downtown,
You guys got... Oh, wait, they have
Nectar,
no ult
and now
stuff.
SSG are going to have to back off and just try and reconsider their placement a little bit here.
Looking at the fact that Shanji now here sticking to that Moon Knight, trying to get that hand of Khonshu. Bedtime Story taking a different angle just to split the focus fire from Space Station. Taking so much of that damage.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge. That's huge. That's huge.
Which doesn't save Gilbert Noodle.
That's huge. That's
also going to
GG's,
stall
chat.
out on the God of
GG's.
Mischief, but they have to stay on the point. Ready, then follows up to get the Devil Dino. The Kraken impact now. Gets the reset at the very end. The Unsung Inferno.
GG's.
Can TSM do it?
Oh my God.
TSM miracles coming out to play. They needed to take a map, and they didn't just do that. They took the whole series home.
Expect the unexpected here in Marvel Rivals Ignite. That was not on anyone's bingo
You guys
card.
didn't
TSM,
believe
they
me.
looked down and out in this
You
group. Even after
guys
map
didn't
1,
believe me. You
we were
said
thinking that
this
was
is what
probably
chat said.
going to be-
Oh my God! But J3 Space Station Gaming is 2-0, and TSM is 0-3. They're not gonna beat that team. Why did I trust you, J3? Why did I put my money on TSM? No. J3 is always right. You never predict against J3.
evolution of TSM.
Never. Never. TSM beats SSG.
Not just adjustments in the compositions, but
Told you guys.
swaps here as well.
Oh my god, this is gonna feel so good. This is,
Not every team is
oh
willing to
my
make
god.
drastic adjustments.
$9.1 million.
The ban phase, but like, they're
400 people didn't trust J3.
It was. And
189 people trusted. Oh my god. How you doing, Cozy? Are you on today?
You to run double flyer into hit scan demon, and then
Oh my god, bro. Look at that payout. Look at that payout.
Stain on the Devil Dino was just something else here, so and we need to keep
Oh.
seeing them now that they could be a little bit more comfortable.
Oh.
And it,
If you,
just
oh my god, if you put 250K on TSM, you just won over $1 million.
general, what is a takeaway? Where did it all go wrong for them? I mean,
Oh
obviously,
my
having Beckham
God.
popping off like that is one big factor.
Yeah, I feel like they have.
Oh
a plan
my
A and B and a
God.
C, but TSM
That is
countered it
insane.
constantly, and it was the grouping of TSM to deny any sort of dive that I think really frustrated SSG at times. And when SSG tried
Oh
to
my
match
God.
TSM with the front to back with the brawl, they really struggled because we were seeing the picks coming from the likes of Bedtime Story. and
Oh, I
also
did say
the
I would have to
double
clap
invisible
with
boundary was
clap
just
without my
near
hands,
impossible
chat.
to
Well, a
keep up
promise
with.
is a promise.
Loki was huge for TSM here.
It was indeed Gilbert Noodle
There you go.
swapping over to that Loki.